Hello students, I'm Amrit Peer. Welcome to your digital classroom. So in the first video, we took up the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. Let's take up the line by line explanation this time. So I'm sure you have your books ready right in front of you. Let's begin with the explanation part. Now what happens here in this poem is that the poet Stephen Spender he visits a school in a slum area and he is shocked to notice the measurable condition, the pitiable condition of the children staying there, studying there, sorry. Even the condition of the school that was very pitiable. Then he goes on to depict the picture of these children in vivid imagery, contrasting the rich world outside their slum. So now he says, far from the gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, their hair torn round their pallor. He says that the children are far, far away from the gusty waves, that is, from the lap of the nature, from the enjoyment of nature. And he has repeated the word far to put an emphasis on the distance between the children and the gusty waves. Now, this poetic device is called repetition, right? So, by the gusty waves, the poet symbolizes the bright, energetic side of life that is so lively and full of enjoyment. The word gusty actually means blowing strongly. So when we enjoy seeing the strong winds blowing over the sea, the waves produced they dash against the seashore. And this energetic life delights us. It gives us happiness, it gives us pleasure. But the poor children, they are deprived of this bright, hopeful life of rich world outside their slum. Now, in contrast, the slum children they live a life of hopelessness. They don't have any hope. Their face is unkempt, dirty. Their hair are untidily scattered around their pale faces. Now, pale face represents both unhealthy lifestyle and hopelessness. Paler hair, the paleness in the second line, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, right? So these children they are compared to rootless weeds because weeds are some unwanted wild plants that grow in the paddy field. Weeds are the things that are unwanted. Similarly, these kids are also compared to weeds since they are unwanted. These weeds they are also called rootless because they are not welcomed. They are not wanted plant. They are unwanted. We don't belong to the paddy fields which they grow, so they don't belong there because they are unwanted. We try to pluck them out. These children are like the weeds. They are pale because of the malnutrition and unhealthy lifestyle, right? The tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper seeming boy with rat eyes, the stunted unlucky hair of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease. Twisted bone, gnarled disease is something which twists the bones, the disease that twists the bones. So the poet he goes on to describe the present situation of the classroom. First he says that there is a girl who is tall and sitting with her bowed down head. The poet he tries to present the depressed girl with her head bowed down because she was loaded and overburdened with the difficulties and struggles of life. So she is exhausted, tired, she even can't sit straight. Then next he mentions a boy who is light-weighted like a paper, who is very thin, too much thin. Again, this phrase suggests that the malnutrition of the children of the slum. His eyes are like the rat's small and scared eyes, scared of the world outside. So he is very meek and he is very meek. So he is in search of something, maybe food, shelter, or a better life than he can get while living in his slum. The boy, his lesson from his desk at back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game and tree room other than this. So he says that the boy reciting a lesson from his book, he is having twisted bones, perhaps he is affected by some genetic disease. His growth is stunted, that is, basically, he is underdeveloped. So the poet calls him unlucky here because, unlike other children, he got nothing from his parents except poverty. Here is someone who succeeds, who inherits the property, that is, the successor. So, except poverty and struggle, a genetic disease that is carried on from generation to generation, and a life in the slum which is full of dirt, he has inherited nothing else, right? So through all these children, the poet has tried to present the hell like life of the slum children with no hope and future. And at the same boy, he says that the boy in the dim classroom, he is unlike these children. He lives a life of hope and dreams. He dreams of squirrel game in the trees. He dreams of nature, life, and energy. Squirrel game, actually, here it represents nature and the life outside. So, this unnoticed boy, he represents basically a ray of hope and life in that dark and dull classroom. Now, coming to the next stanza, on sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome writing all cities, belled, flowery Trioles Valley, open handed map, awarding the world its world, and yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, when all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far from rivers, capes, and star of words. Now here the unpleasant walls of the classroom, they are they are decorated with the donations and the picture of Shakespeare. The walls that are called unpleasant because they are off white in color and they show a sign of decayed life in the slums. And they are unpleasant because there may be some rotten smell also coming from there because of the unrepaired condition, right? So the picture of Shakespeare on the wall suggests that the literate suggests actually towards the literate world outside. So it's related to literature. It is symbolic of the literate world that exists outside the slum area, right? Other pictures they that were hanging there on the wall, they include a clear picture of clear sky at dawn, the flowery valley of Austria, along with the dome of an ancient civilization representing hope. And now here he is mentioning a few things, like for example, if you look at the text, belled flowery Trioles Valley, open handed map, and he says civilized dome riding all cities, right? So this has been affecting all the cities, these slum children, because they are representing the decaying life of the slum. Then he says, and this is the doom of ancient civilization, which actually represented hope, enjoyment of nature's beauty, and the progress of human civilization. That is why this scenario. So the poet says that the rich people, they pretend to be generous to these children by donating these things to them, but in reality there is no relevance of these things to the world of slum. That is why he paints this picture of a classroom here, showing that this has no relevance to the classroom in the slum area. So the children of the slum, they are limited to the world and only through their window, to the world that they see through the window of the school classroom. Their future is foggy, uncertain, dull, bleak. Fog is representing this dull thing, the dull uncertainty and the bleakness. They are confined to the narrow streets of the slum, enclosed by the polluted sky. They are miles away from the rivers and the seas that indicate the adventure and enjoyment of nature. So basically, they are quite far away from the wisdom that can empower their future, that can improve their quality of life. That is what this paragraph contains for us. Now, moving on to the next stanza. Surely Shakespeare is wicked. Now, why would he call Shakespeare wicked? Is because there is no relevance of real life in slum to the world depicted in the photos or the poet that he calls wicked. So he calls Shakespeare wicked through his writing enlightening the whole world. His writing actually enlightened the whole world, but unfortunately, there is no hope for these children in the slum through the enlightened world, so the poet calls him wicked. Then he calls the map a bad example. Now, why does he do that? He calls the map a bad example because it does not have any place in the life of the slum children. They can't aspire to be somewhere at a place which is depicted in the map. They can't be there. They can't afford to live there. and there is no means for them to go to that part of the world. So that is just a cruel temptation basically for the children. They may steal, commit crimes. So they are also the bad example. So this is just a symbolic, a bad example. Then these children who live here, they are confined to the narrow holes of the dark slum, and their fate actually conspires them to be here. See, in the text he mentioned the cramped holes. So it is their fate that they are here, from fog to endless light. That is total lack of hope, total absence of hope. There is no hope for them. That is what the poet wants to depict. So now the poet continues to hint at the undernourished state of the children. He says that their bones peep through their skins. Look at the text. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass, like bottle bits on stones, and of all of their time and space are foggy slums, so blot their maps with slums as big as doom. So this is how he has described the condition. They are so skinny because of the malnutrition that we can count their bones through their skins. They use spectacles not for luxury but just because it's their necessity. They use mended glass, cracked and steel framed because they can't afford a brand new spectacle, so they manage with a repaired one, right? They live a life of hell which is confined to the uncertain, unhealthy, polluted slum. They are like a blot or stain in the progress of the civilized life. So this is how he has described their life. Now coming to the last stanza, unless governor, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. So he says there is no coordination between the civilized world and the world of children in the school slum. So the poet, he appeals basically, he asks the people from all spheres of life like governor, teacher, visitor to come forward and educate these children so that they can fill the gap, right? So he says next that these people must consider the lives of children as their lives, only then there can be a change. There some their slum is like an enclosed space, like an internal part of a grave, which is very dark and dingy, actually, can be the term, which is very dark, suffocating for the kids. And of course, without even one single ray of hope. So the poet, he has urged these people, these slum children, because they are caught in the nexus of these people and they are not able to break their fate of living a state of hopelessness in these slums. So he urges the people to break through the pitiable, hopeless condition of the slum children, let them see the green field, expose them to nature and a state of hope where they can breathe in the open air just like the rest of the world. He also asks them to let them educate them, go through the pages of wisdom, that is, understand, be wise. They should possess strength and brightness and the sun, and only then they can create history. So he wishes them to break all kinds of social bonding, inequality, and to create a better world. History, theirs, whose language is the sun. So he wants them to be one with the nature, to enjoy nature and grow wise. Okay, I'm sure, see, this may seem a bit of a complex poem, but I'm sure you must have understood it. And for that, you basically need to go through the poem once again, along with the listen to the explanation. I'll be sharing the PDF with you so you can go through the explanation part, and plus the PDF will contain stanza wise questions. So I would like to request you to read those questions also. That will give you a deep insight into the poem, and I'm pretty sure things will be very clear to you. So see you next time. And for this, actually, you will be preparing video assignments. So you won't be having a written assignment in your notebook. You will be preparing video assignments, the details of which will be shared with you shortly by the respective class teachers and the subject teachers. So till then, happy learning, enjoy, stay safe. Thank you.